and for years I taught high school at Chester Municipal High School and then later at Forest Heights. And with me is Erin Gore, and Erin taught at Chester Municipal High School and at Forest Heights. And somewhere along the line, I directed the plays and Erin produced the plays. And I think it was a match made in heaven. We had been holding plays in the high school, CMHS. One Monday morning, after a late Sunday night rehearsal, where we had put the lights up, we'd hoisted the basketball nets and put the lights on them and had them on the stage. Everything was primed, ready for opening. And I came in Monday morning and the basketball coach had lowered the basketball net so he could use it and taken down all the lights. And I thought, well, there's got to be a better way than this. And that's just kind of by a fluke. And so at that time, the Playhouse was the Leading Wind Theater. It was a puppet theater run by Dora and Leo Vellemans. So yes, we came down to the Playhouse, and I think at the time we were probably the only high school where students got to perform in a real theater, and it was neat. I mean, we rehearsed all winter or whatever in classrooms, and it went on and on and on for 6 to 8 weeks, whatever. Then we'd move into the theater.
When we moved into the theater, the magic started happening. It was fabulous. I got kids to start doing the production jobs instead of the teachers. And it was very exciting because then you didn't have to get on stage to participate in theater. There were jobs for everybody, including making programs and running front of house and sets. And
they did the lights.
They did the lights. And I got, my husband was the volunteer lighting guy at that time. And so he would teach the kids, about lighting design and running the board. And they ran the board. The kids would run the board. And we got, Barry Redmond came in and helped the kids learn how to make sets and other people. And we got the Chester Drama Society makeup person came in and taught the kids how to do makeup. And I'm a costumer, so I taught. So as a producer, and I always had a co-producer that was a student. So, I could sit back and watch it all happen, and the kids did it, and it was truly magic. They were doing something real and useful, and they were producing something.
Yeah, in a real theater.
In a real theater.
And the Playhouse is phenomenal acoustically. You could whisper on that stage and be heard in the back row of the gallery. There were two things I would shout at the kids about. I can see the curtain moving backstage, so whoever's walking backstage, stop moving the curtain. The other one, of course, was I can't hear you. Eventually, the kids could be heard. And I would deliberately sit in the back row of the balcony and encourage the kids to speak up, and they did.
The other interesting thing was when you talk about the curtains moving, this was before the renovations. There was, what, 1.5 feet between the curtain and the back wall? Maybe 2 feet, not very much.
No.
And there was no place to be. There were no real wings or real green room or anything. So everybody was behind the curtain. And Doug would pick these plays that had a cast of thousands. And all those kids had to be backstage and not moving the curtains and not talking.
In those days, where the Ondaatje room is now was where we dressed, where we changed. That was the green room. And of course we had bed sheets or something hung up so the boys could change here. And remember that time I had to teach a grade 12 student how to hang up a pair of pants and a suit?
Tying ties.
Oh yeah, you were to do that. Anyway, and they would all leave that area and troop downstairs. If it was sunny, they went outside, down the outside stairs and along the alleyway, in the stage door, up in behind, and there they were for the duration of Act 1 or whatever, until the intermission. If it was raining, they came down the spiral staircase and down through the audience very quietly. No one waved, "Hi, Mom," nothing like that. And they were very professional about it, up the stairs and backstage, and there they stayed. And back in those early days, there was what used to be a space where the old movie theater
Oh, right, yeah.
speaker box, it was a huge speaker, about 10 by 10. And so any costume changes had to take place backstage. And I remember one girl said, "Mr. Ross, if you think I'm going to take off my dress and put something else on with all these boys standing around, you've got another thing coming." Susan,
Not a problem.
we've got to do it. So we covered it up.
We always had it covered.
Well, oh yeah, it was always covered. I always remember afterwards, she said to me, you know, I dove in there. I had to change so quickly. I never even thought about it. It came out the other side, and you know, nobody bothered me. I was never embarrassed. You know, it was cool.
The other thing about the theaters we were talking about earlier, the kids that were on the production side, and those were the kids that I dealt with, learning to make sets. And I got with the report of this young man who lived in the Commons, carrying a chair, like an overstuffed chair, from his house down to the Playhouse to put on the stage. And I mean, it was a big chair. It was Nathan. The next day he carried a rug, but the rug was a lot lighter and he didn't get reported around town. But yeah, so the kids got so involved that, well, there's a thing that, you know, you're in community theater when there's more of your furniture on the stage than in your home. And this is what happened. Because it was the Playhouse, they took it seriously. They wouldn't have, it would have been a totally different experience if it had been in the gymnasium.
Nowadays, of course, schools are built with auditoriums and they've got all this, but still, to leave the school space and to go downtown and be in that theater.
And the other thing was, their classmates went to a real theater to see them. You know, and I remember kids coming and, you know, coming in for a show and walking out and never had seen live theater before. And this was one, and they never would have come had the high school kids had not been their classmates.
I don't know how many of them have gone on to do amateur theater. Of course, then they go through the stage of getting married and having kids and raising families, and they're busy and so on. I still see some of these students.
One of the girls that was in Face on a Barroom Floor, Lacey, is now acting with the Chester Drama Society.
Oh, neat. Anyway, I was interested in seeing the blurb, you know, from the Playhouse, saying, you know, what are your memories of the Playhouse? And both Erin and I have had lots of experience either on the board or acting in community theater, but this high school experience, I think, was a unique experience, and so I just want to take some time and tell you about it. And thank you for coming down to help.
Oh yeah, that's all right, Doug. Anytime.
Yeah.
Anytime you need a producer, Doug.
Okay.